I think for a lot of companies, certainly smaller companies, success is, hey, we did it. It works, right? And I'm oversimplifying, of course. But what are some real ways to quantify whether what we just did moved the needle in the right direction?
Yeah, the easy way to quantify something just by the nature of quantification is to tie it to your financials.
Yeah.
I look at this from a strategic lens, right? CFO is generally the last person to say we're getting this implementation going. Is there an ROI to your Workday implementation, to your iSIMS implementation? I think the CFO definitely cares about user adoption and any kind of noise or lack thereof, or time saved in operations. Sure, that'll probably come down to VP director levels that care more about that, that are defining the KPIs. But purely from a dollars spent in ROI, you have to be able to demonstrate the value. Most times, when you build a business case to move on to a system like Workday or iSIMS, you're bringing that to the table to begin with to say, why are we moving systems X, Y, and Z thing? The cost is generally on there. So there's one area. The other area, as I mentioned in the response as well, is time and dollars saved in operations. By automating these workflows, are we removing some pain or some noise or some cost of headcount? And we could use those dollars more strategically for to move the business forward or to transform other processes, right? And then, of course, the adoption of your end users, how it's landing with managers, with business partners, with end users of the systems, and for an iSIMS and TA perspective, candidates, right? I'll hand it over to Vivian to talk a little bit more about externally facing and iSIMS and TA specifically.
So from an ATS perspective, when it comes to quantifying ROI, one of the mistakes I often see customers make is not coming into the conversation with a clear outcome in mind. So what I mean by that is the whole reason your CFO or your CIO decided to go out for RFP and buy a new product is because they wanted to reduce something. They wanted to reduce the cost of the solution that you're paying for to begin with, but they also wanted to reduce your overall costs as a department, your time to fill, your time to hire, your cost to fill, your cost to hire, all of those metrics that drive recruiting from the beginning to the end, from the handshake to the hire. Um, all of those pieces cost money at various steps, and not knowing that if you decrease the amount of interviews that you have going into your building of your workflow, and that decreasing the amount of interviews that you have decreases your cost to fill because it decreases your time to fill, and not having that as a clear goal as you're building your system. So you're inserting a 10th layer of interviews when you're building your workflows. That is a mistake. So coming into the conversation with a clear goal of these are the places I want to move the needle, so that 6 months, 9 months, a year out, I can prove that we did X in order to move the needle, and this was the outcome, is a very clear mistake I see very frequently when customers come to implement.